audience there in Gates. You know, I felt real alienated watching this, you know, because I just didn't, whatever that bunny rabbit and that boom, boom, sturm und drang that they were putting down there was supposed to represent, it didn't communicate to me.
I never wanted to be a rock and roll star. I never, honest God, I wasn't even there. But I was, you see, I was there. That's what happened. No, it excited me just because it was there. That was enough. I mean, personally, I was playing saxophone, and I was trying to make up my mind whether I wanted to play rock and roll or jazz. And as I wasn't very good at jazz, and I could fake it pretty well in rock and roll, so I played rock and roll. You're so bad. Best I ever had. Oh, please, the only thing I was ever really good at school was composition, not grammatically. I was always terrible on grammar, but I could always write better stories than anybody else. I saw that a lot of my songs were very illustrative and picturesque. And I felt there were other ways of performing on stage. I was never very confident of my voice, you see, as a singer. So I thought, rather than just sing them, which would probably bore pants of everybody, I'd like to kind of portray the songs rather than just sing them. That's really how it started, wanting to portray the material I was writing. I always found that my material, I felt it was more three-dimensional. I wanted to give it dimension.
Now Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with weird spiders from Mars. When he played that left hand, but he made it too far, became the special man. Then we were Ziggy's band.
One half of me is putting a concept forward, and the other half is trying to sort out my own emotions. And a lot of my creations are, in fact, facets of me being unable to cope with the circumstances he found himself in, which is being an almighty prophet-like superstar rocker who found he didn't know what to do with it once he got it, which is, it's an archetype, really. It's the definitive rock and roll star. It often happens, and I was just trying to document it.
Inseparable as Marx and Lenin. For the opening and closing ceremonies of the Olympics this year, the state...
The gazes, observe the spaces in between the old man's cactus. Then he threw away his looking glass, saw his face and held one. Hey, titillated man of action, steady warming hands still rubbing on the parts that they never mentioned. Salaried and car scrubbing.
What it stood for, which was the use of theatricality, perhaps some glitter, perhaps some showmanship. Clearly, it was a stultification of music, which had remained somewhat predictable for such a long period of time. So, as a businessman, you look and you say, well, where am I going to grow from here? What kind of music will be in vogue, so to speak? You learn very quickly, or I learned very quickly, executives don't create trends, they spot trends.
Pacified, but now be suffering. The bleaching one-line jokers, Sunday paper, backgammon players, family scarred women haters. Then he called the band down to the stage, and he looked at all the friends he made.
The blame has to be laid with the management and the record companies, everyone who has made the rock music business what it wasn't. And what it wasn't was a professional, organized sort of branch of show business. It was, rock music always worked at its best, or any of what we loosely term rock music. And we must talk about jazz and folk music and everything when in its relatively uncommercialized form was a sort of very naive, very rough and ready lifestyle, both for the performers and probably for the audiences who came to it. Now it's got so organized. The audiences have come to expect a better standard of performance, better quality of lighting and sound and staging. They've come to expect a show. Musical content alone isn't enough. For most people who've been to 10 or 20 rock concerts, they necessarily get a little bit bored of seeing tiny figures on the stage just wearing blue denim gear they bought yesterday from a supermarket. You know, I suppose it's a bit like a drug, really, that you've got to go after the next one up, the next grade of nastiness. and David Bowie is that he, right the way through, takes it, or appears to take it all very seriously. He has to carry it up, whereas I don't. I go on, and when I have to change into a silly jacket or a silly pair of clothes, I mean, I apologise to the audience for wearing this gear, you know. You see, I mean, I insist upon taking the mickey out of myself and what I'm doing, because it is such an unnatural way to behave, you know. But the fact is that if you're going to play to people, you know, a quarter of a mile away in some big gig, they can't see me if I'm dressed like this, you know. I just look like a, you know, coal miner or something in the distance. So you tend to wear clothes which sort of accentuate. I mean, I'm involved in physically expressing the music, something else that I just have always done, always will. I wear the clothes that go with that job. We could charge about twice as much for our tickets as we do. But I mean, it wouldn't be on really, would it? It wouldn't be cricket, would it? I mean, it wouldn't. I mean, sod it. You know, who's going to pay more to see me than they pay for a good hamburger? I wouldn't.
I think I got most of the words now.
You've got to realize, in today's marketplace, with all the feeling about the rock world, these people have got to be recognized.
Okay, yeah, we can just dub them in with trumpets and synthesizer. Fine. Okay, gentlemen. Let's make records. Okay.
Because they are in a $2.5–3 billion business, which is bigger today than the picture business, than the broadcasting business, than the TV and radio business. I believe these stars should be recognized today, because they form the nucleus of a major multi-billion-dollar business.
Do me good, do me good, do me good, do you good, do us good, do us good tonight, right? Do me good, do me good, do me good, do you good, do me good, do us good tonight, right? Give it up, give it all you've ever tried to go. You don't need me, but I need you. Give me room, give me space. You never showed your face.
Very few things today are not really manufactured.
But I need you.
Songs are overdubbed 15 times for the right take. Voices are put on top. If a string line is no good, it's edited. As long as you're sincere with the public and you don't propose it to be anything that it isn't.
Do me good, do me good, do me good, do you good, do us good, do us good tonight. Oh!
Even the old Tim Panelli and the old great songwriters used to come in and sell a song to an artist. Now, they might not have had the greatest song in the world, but their salesmanship was so great, it was irresistible not to take the song.
She lay beside my side.
I think in any business, whether it's construction or the plumber across the street, I think the name of the game is promoting your product,
She be.
packaging and presenting it, being commercial and winning.
Oh, darling, do me good, do me good, do me good, do you good, do me good, do us good tonight, right? Do me good, do. Give it up, give it all, you never tried to go. You don't need me, but I need you. Do me good, do me good, do me good, do you good, do me good, do us good tonight. Do me good, day.
There's very few things today that I believe is that new and innovative. When I hear Simon and Garfunkel today, they're really a reincarnation of the Everly Brothers. Tom Jones, to me, when he was very hot in his prime, was a new sex symbol like Elvis Presley. Image is very important. But you can't throw anything to the public that they won't buy.
I think I made just a small mistake there on where I said, oh, last night. I said, where were you last night?
It is very, very difficult to be that fresh because whether people were watching Batman 7 or 8 years ago, today they may watch Spider-Man as a movie or King Kong. It's just dressed up in a different form.
got to get more people singing. We got to get a bunch of.
Yeah, especially when there's that very,
That's what
very small
everybody says. You know,
transistor
give me a
radio.
song that's got a hook to it. Well,
Sure.
This one's got a hook with a song to it.
Yeah.
The music that is not boring is music which provides escape. Elton John is not particularly boring because Elton John is very facile. It seems to me so far the 70s have been defined mainly by a sense of depletion. People confuse form with content. They confuse style, just pure style, with intellectual energy.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live.
Present a proclamation which declares this week Elton John Week.
You're just a product. You could be a washing powder. You sell X records and they love you. You don't sell another record perhaps for another 6 months and they don't particularly like you. Songs are very disposable nowadays. Everything now I'm making up for lost time. I enjoy the freedom. It's a reaction against everything that I wasn't allowed to do when I was a child, like a teenager. I wasn't allowed to wear winkle-picker shoes. Can you imagine something so ridiculous when they became fashionable? I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was sort of kept well under wraps. Why can't you have half a blue face and half a white face? Why not green hair? There's not much of it, you see, and I shouldn't do these things to it, but I just get terribly bored with my hair. I just think, why can't you have yellow hair and green hair? It makes, you know, I'm a bit crazy like that. Yeah. It'll be a different color next week, probably.
I don't believe personally that rock and roll is meant to endure for the ages as great art. That's what makes it so great, is that it's now, it's immediate, right now. Use it and dispose of it, throw it away, forget it. But then there was like this sense of defeat, there was all this defeatist music, and now it's totally into an escapist thing with Elton John and the discos and this. People want slick, shallow music, superficial, here today and gone tomorrow.
Wrong in our present state, hoping help will come from above, but even angels there made the same mistake. In love, in love, in love, in love.
In Roxy music, you seek the triumph of artifice, because what they are about is that they're not about anything. Musically, they're an incredible synthesis of a lot of different things, but I think that their vitality and their longevity will be quite limited due to the fact that the leader of the group is this fellow named Brian Ferry, who is possibly the most vacuous excuse for a superstar that has yet been presented to us. Now, like I became a big Roxy Music fan when they did Stranded, and after that it was my unfortunate experience to meet Mr. Ferry at a party where I wanted to go up and say, Brian Ferry, you're my hero, I love you, you know, a great record. This man was so bland that he was standing there in this white tuxedo with a cigarette in his hand, you know, not saying anything. And somebody should have shoved him in a corner, shoved the martini in his hand, and forgotten about him. And he doesn't care about rock and roll at all. The ascendance of these people is an indication of the level to which rock has sunk, because its appearance and artifice. There is nothing, I believe, truly committed about either a Brian Ferry or a David Bowie. It's much more using of rock for their own ego aggrandizement rather than a belief in the music they are working with.
If you were going to perform your music on stage, people were sitting there looking at you for an hour and a half or whatever. It seemed to me that one should try and work something out which is reasonably interesting to look at. Presenting the music in a kind of fun way helps to attract a much wider audience. It is very much a 24-hour business. It means that you have to be totally dedicated to your kind of work. Like an actor on a stage, I suppose, when you're sort of doing a tour, you have to accept, instead of throwing yourself into one part, you have to throw yourself into lots of different parts. Because I try to write lots of different types of song with different kinds of mood. And I just try to throw myself, what I do, just kind of hurl myself into it, basically. So there isn't much time to really stop and think, you know, what am I doing this for?
Please don't ever let me down, for you know I'm not so sure. Do I have the speed to carry on? I'll burn you out of my mind alone. You're a flame that never fades, jungle red's a deadly shade. Both ends burning will fires meet. Somewhere deep in my soul tonight.
As well as the stage presentation, there are also these other things, sort of packaging things. The packaging of your work, which in the business they call product. Things like album covers and posters and souvenir programs, which you can either totally ignore or take an interest in and try and raise the standard of them. There's a great tradition in advertising of using glamour girls for selling cars through to Coca-Cola. For the first album cover we did, I sort of had a pin-up girl on the cover because I always thought that was a sort of a lethal way of selling any kind of product. And that worked incredibly well. Business can be artistic as well.
Who can sleep in this heat this night? Keep on burning.
Let's just take this Concerto for Group and Orchestra by John Lord and Deep Purple. You had the group playing heavy metal rock, and then the orchestra, you know, and it's not a true meeting of the forms. Or you take this Rick Wakeman, let's take Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Here is like musical sterility at its pinnacle. A band that, you know, has absolutely no soul, there's nothing, there's no feeling in the music. It's the objective is to play preset solos as fast as you possibly can, breakneck speed, and do it for about 5 hours.
It's sad to think that sometimes it's only the visuals that people remember.
My generation had everything handed to them. I never had to pay any dues. I've never had to pay any dues because I grew up not rich, but with enough money. I could always afford any record, any magazine I wanted. You know, I had a car, this and that. We lived in the suburbs. Our parents supported us in general. We had the leisure to screw ourselves up, you know, and the license.
Stopping at a house is a neighbor boy with evil on his mind. 'Cause he's been thinking in Angie's room at night through a window blind. I see you folks have gone away. Would you dance with me today? I'll show you how to have a good time, Angie, baby.
So I think at most times when you go through a revolution, there is some sort of tragic cost. So what happened and what's really continued to date is the fact that because there is no longer a current style, there's no predominant force in vogue. There was a softening of music. It's complacent and it's dying. And with nothing dramatically new coming along, the use of theatricality in rock had a tragic cost. Now you look back and you see why.
Except a crazy girl with a secret lover who keeps her satisfied. It's so nice to be insane. No one asks you to explain. Radio by your side, Angie, baby. Angie, baby, you're a special lady. Living in a world of make-believe.
The need of artists to perform, I think some of them have that need to perform. Artists are complicated individuals. They're not like dealing with other people. And it leads to a different personality makeup, the personality makeup of an artist. And I'm sure the complications can result therefrom, especially when you realize the worldwide fame and riches that are heaped upon very frequently young people who are either in their late teens or early 20s or late 20s, and it's difficult to get through adolescence normally today, no less have the problem of adjustment to fame and the problems that come from fame.
The reason it happened is because there was no intellectual energy behind the revolt of the 60s. Like if you compare the hippies and the beatniks, where the hippies departed from the beatniks is that they were illiterate. And most of the generations of American youth that we've seen in the last few years, they get progressively more illiterate. Not only illiterate, but ignorant. I mean, you'll always have this bopper phenomenon of young audience, you know. They want these pretty little boys and girls to come out and sing these icky-poo little love songs. And it's all bubblegum.
Rock and roll, 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 rock and roll.
An interesting thing is that the original progenitors sang what were possibly some of the dirtiest records ever on airwaves. Chewy, chewy, yummy, 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 I've got love in my tummy. Well, I won't go into the rest of it. So what you had was the worst kind of wretched excess, because it's the anti-intellectualism of rock, the mindlessness of rock, carried to a complete extreme.
Rock and roll, 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 rock, rock and roll, rock and roll, rock, rock and roll, rock
I think rock as theater is sort of a red herring in a way. You know, it's distracting people from the fact that musically something's going to have to happen pretty soon. It's like waiting for the Renaissance, you know, when everybody thinks that it has to happen. It's commonly said that every 10 years there's a big star and it's in the middle of the decade. Dick Clark said this in an interview I did once. He said, well, you know, there was Sinatra in the 40s and there was Elvis in the 50s and the Beatles in the 60s and now's the time, and that was 2 years ago. And nothing has happened. Like with black people, most of the glam groups, there's nothing left that they can do or say. There is absolutely no way they can get any more mileage out of this, because they've gotten totally drab in comparison of the juvenile delinquency of the 50s. Everything is just continually repackaged, which I think is total self-indulgence. Here we are halfway through the 70s, and as far as the counterculture is concerned, the decade hasn't begun yet.
soir. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Kitty, kitty, aïe, da, da. Kitty, kitty, aïe, da, 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 da. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And you can get your ya-ya there. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And you can get your ya-ya there. And you can get your ya-ya there.
You see, I thought I had this dream, about the perfect band, like the virtuoso of each instrument. I thought I was the virtuoso of my instrument. I thought Jack was and Ginger was the virtuoso, and we all thought that, and that's really not the way to approach it at all. So we got, how we formed, we got together, we had about a day's rehearsal, and then we just sort of busked it for as long as we could.
Who admittedly is an incredible guitarist, a fantastic musician, brilliantly talented, is that he said, his career has had a downward slide because of junk. I mean, this happens to a lot of musicians. I mean, Charlie Parker, a lot of famous musicians who are incredibly brilliant have used heroin. However, in the case of Clapton, what we have here is, I think, someone who is, in his terms of his own abilities, been underachieving for quite some time. And perhaps the most ironic thing about it is that when you read reports of people like this, and I'm taking him as just one of many, and people say, well, the guy was really healthy, he was walking around, his eyes were clear, just like you and I are right now. They act like it's an amazing thing, that like, because that he's not asleep somewhere, and gone, that it's some amazing achievement.
The woman tone is produced by using either the bass pickup or the lead pickup, but with all the bass off. In fact, if you use both pickups, you should take all the bass off on the tone control to turn it down to 1 or 0, and then turn the volume full up, And it's supposed to sound like this. I play I started playing was one of accompaniment, of lead accompaniment. So that is quite difficult, The basic things that you'd have to learn about that style itself, which is the finger vibrato that you have to use, which is like that, which is very important.
Could you just do that again?
Yeah. See, that itself is very difficult. Can take you a long time to play and get that perfected.
When you're improvising, do you use stock phrases as the raw material? And if so, can you show us some?
Yeah. There are phrases that I always play that are stock phrases that I work from, which are just like. All these runs. are put together from old phrases that I first started on, like. And now they're just all kind of messed up with other things which I learned like that, which is. If a guy likes playing football, then that's what he'll use to get all of his kind of basic kind of angry bits out of him, that you build up through any day. You can just, like, someone will toot the horn in the car behind you and you'll get angry and you'll have no release for it, Well, that happens to everybody, but like, I've got the advantage of being able to sort of play that out on the guitar by being sort of fairly aggressive in the way I play, not the way I use it. Well, that can be done too, with people like The Who.
Can you show us?
Pete Townsend. What do you mean? You want me to break the guitar up?
Well, no, not quite. Just an example of aggression in your music.
three people. Two of them are going to be close, and one is going to be on the outside. It was okay for a while, until we got onto Madison Square Garden stage and realised we'd only rehearsed about 3 or 4 numbers, you know, frightened the lives out of ourselves. The amplifiers got bigger and bigger, didn't they? That was all there was to it. You went from 50 watts to 100 watts to 200 watts to God knows what. I mean, it's just bound to happen. And I don't like that, really. I'm sad that it actually ever happened, really. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want to change anything, but I probably would have done better to stay with John Mayall. You know, because then, you know, it was, I mean, that Cream thing was all like, it was just aggressive music. And it wasn't honest either.
In what ways?
Well, we weren't being truthful to the audiences we were playing to. I mean, the band I'm with now does its best every night. You know what I mean? It does its best every night. And the Cream, we just did the same. We had a routine worked out. We did the same things every night. I mean, for 3 years, every night, in the same order. Just, that's not honesty. That's not being truthful at all. I mean, ever since then, you've had all these sort of impresarios, promoted businessmen saying, you know, who's going to make the next big sound or what's going to be the next, you know. And there probably will be one. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it.
Well, I told you that the line goes down. Let up in the sun up on the ground. Oh, they put the sun down.
Let's face it, I mean, rock was the most exciting thing musically happening in the 60s. The nature of the time is a time where everything was grabbed up and used and eaten and disposed of. It was an appalling waste. Sort of a sick scene, you know, they're just sort of wallowing in their youth. Somebody that refuses to give up the things that he grew up with and in fact, like, wallows in them. You know, it was a great time. It was like a party, and the party's over, and now...
You're gonna liven up yourself and don't be no drag. You got to liven up yourself, or reggae is another bag. You're gonna liven up yourself and don't say no. You got to liven up yourself, I said so.
Everything that we've seen in the music in the last 5 years or so is like the 60s grinding to a halt. Everything that started in the 60s, the last drop's being wrung out of it, you know, until there's nothing left.
It's so, it's through my door. You come so, you come so. Oh yeah.
The only thing that saves rock from being totally irrelevant is that most of the other things culturally that are going on are pretty irrelevant themselves. Now it's totally into an escapist thing with discos and this. People want slick, shallow music, superficial, here today and gone tomorrow. I don't say it's rotten, I just said it was disposable.
Oh, reggae is another band. You're gonna liven up yourself and don't say no.
We exist in the time of the bland out. This is perhaps the most bland time in the history of Western civilization. which probably accounts for a lot of the incredibly self-indulgent music that comes out. That in all of its reverence and its spirituality is boring, repetitive, cold, emotionless, and lacks the edge and the fire of music having intellectual energy.
Wonder why you act
together as one today. Can we breathe together? Yes, a little bit of hydroventilation to clean out our bodies. Work it up to a frenzy until we can't go no farther, and then we take one good long hit and move down that highway. Are you ready? All right. Let's see.
To God for all of the pollution of youth around the world. We hear a lot about ecology today. We hear a lot about polluted rivers, polluted lakes. But these fellows have polluted minds and hearts and souls of people. And they have allowed the demons of hell to possess them and use them and to drag millions of young people in the wrong direction when they ought to be taking them in the right direction.
Oh, now that we cleaned out our bodies, let's take one good long hit and move down that highway. Moving down the highway on my own. All my pretty things I left at home. All I carry is my things I need. Move on down the highway.
Our big objection to rock music is not only the beat, which I think comes out of the jungles, but the words and what the words are spelling out. Look at the lives of these artists. Look at the people that follow them. Look at their dress, the glasses they wear. I believe it's demonic. I believe it's tied into illicit sex. And I noticed the other day in the newspaper how the American Association for the Advancement of Science said the noise of rock bands can increase blood pressure, bring about birth defects, including mental retardation. Now, if this is going to bring about mental retardation, I hate to think of what the next generation is going to be like.
Bump it and grind it.
We're about 20 miles from Mountain Home, Arkansas. That's the biggest city around. 80 miles from Springfield, Missouri, across the line up here. And right up here's a fence and everything we've had it for quite a while, a couple of years now, since we started putting it up. First, everybody thought we had some kind of nudist colony back there, but it got worked out, because everybody around here first moved in didn't know what to expect, and they got to realizing we just like they was, and they really respect our privacy up here and realize that we kind of need it. We had people walking in wanting to join our calls, and do everything else, and it was really nice. We get to meet them out here outside the fence now, come out and see everybody and sign autographs or whatever. Charlie, can you get that other side?
First time we came up here was, I guess, 1966, and we were running from the cops, and I think we had just gotten busted in Memphis. We lived in the caves over on the lake for about, I guess, pretty much a couple of months, and we really liked it. The swimming was good, and the fishing was good. We just kind of always thought that if things went well, we'd come back and we'd live here. My brother spent about 2 years looking for the right location and found this place, and we came up and saw it and just fell in love with it. The initial investment was about $55,000 or something like that. We got probably $750,000 right now into it. We were a family before we ever got into music, really, and we just wanted to keep it that way,
Togetherness is a security to us, and it's something which makes us feel, it's something which in a world which, you want to be independent, right? You want to be to where you don't have to depend on everybody to come by and wait on the government to do all the things. Even Thomas Jefferson said the best government is government that has to govern the least, right? So we're just trying to hold our own and be our own type of people and take care of each other and not, not strain the system so much. Not saying do away with it totally, but just, I think simplify is the word. And it's a good lifestyle. We believe in nature. We're naturalists.
We raise our own cattle for meat. We grow our own vegetables. We have people now researching the solar energy thing. We use a lot of electricity out here. In every way possible, we want to become self-sustaining. We built this schoolhouse down here and put the post office together, and we're pretty well incorporated as a city now, which just gets back to the thing of just choosing who you want to spend your time here on Earth with.
And we just feel good out here.
Air's clean, water's clean.
A lot of people, don't understand and wouldn't picture this as being rock and roll. Because we have a pretty wholesome life here. We live, humbly but tastefully. We do this because we're dedicated. I mean, we'd rather stay here, and we could, but that's not what we did it for. It's more like, staying in tune with the people and going and trying to give them faith to hold on to and strength to hold on to. They're the ones that are living in the man-made hell. Rock and roll started by people like this, and I mean, Carl Perkins said that you can do anything you want to do, just don't step in my blue suede shoes. It's a statement of freedom, and I think that's what it's all about.
really about adolescence. I mean, all of the great progenitors of it have been fixated adolescents. They're still adolescent. They'll be adolescent when they die. This is the magic of it. It's like a Peter Pan thing. And but this is also what's pathetic about it, is that you find someone, whether he's a rock star like Brian Wilson, who walks around Sunset Strip in his bathrobe, or a kid down the street, you know, who doesn't know how to fix himself a tuna sandwich when he's 28 years old. This is simultaneously the thing that makes rock and roll magical and fantastic, and the thing that just makes it totally nihilistic and self-destructive.
The ocean's daughter, walking on the way she came, staring as she called my name, and I can't get it out of my head. No, I can't get it out of my head. Now my whole world is gone for dead, 'cause I can't get it out of my head. Break down on the shoreline, and blue. It's an ebb tide, morning don't get here tonight, searching for herself alive, and I can't get it out of my head. No, I can't get it out of my head. Now my whole world is gone for dead, 'cause I can't get it out of my head. Now.
It's like wearing a sandwich board, a sign walking down the street saying, "I'm pathetic." And because I am pathetic, therefore I am charismatic. It's a strange state of affairs, you know, but I mean, if rock is just as much to blame in any apathy of the 70s as anything else going on in this society. The problem with creating mythology with living people is that you have to watch them either grow old and decay. They have to live up to their own mythology. Recent pictures of Mick Jagger bear this out well. His face is, you know, turning all flabby and it's hanging down. The lips are like this, you know, and he just, you know, like his eyes are getting smaller as his face gets puffier, and, you know, I mean, he's getting old, you know, which happens to you and me too. But like, we don't stand for adolescence. Now here's a guy, he's out there, he's 32, and he's jumping around on a stage, he's singing songs about it's only rock and roll. I mean, that right there, It's Only Rock and Roll by the Rolling Stones. Perfect indication of the irrelevance of rock. population and with a new social order that would make everything better. I kind of tend to think it had to do with consumption, consumerism, brought to the highest possible level. Consumerism in the nth degree, meaning heroin, speed, cocaine, sex, total self-indulgence, which I'm not against, you know, but I don't think that anyone should ever make a claim that all of this had to do with making it a better world for people to live in, you know, or caring about your brothers and sisters, because all it had to do with was hedonism.
You gotta see what it's all about, the young cam aluminum. You gotta see what it's all about, the old new styling, the new bright stuff. You gotta see what it's all about. Hey there, fellas, the truckers at 4. Road Commander 2.
The idea of harnessing music dates way back to the pyramid days. The pyramids were built to song. They even had their own musicians there to set the tempo. The cotton fields used to be picked to song. You'd have someone that would lead the cotton pickers in song as they went through the field. It would, again, maintain a certain pace, a certain rhythm. So music is not a new innovation. It isn't anything that we originated. We've just improved on it and have really harnessed it to a point where it can be an asset. We call it a management tool.
Just walk right up to your store's bread shelf, grab a loaf of health bread. Serve yourself 10 cents off. Keplinger's Health Bread, 10 cents off. Keplinger's Health Bread.
That's select, yeah, bravo. That'll do it.
Wish I could have done walk right up to your store's bread shelf, grab a loaf of bread.
Yeah, it's the health, yeah, there's too many words, that's a problem.
This chart will give you a little bit of the science that we use. Now, this is just one 15-minute segment of Muzak. Each of these tunes have a rating in stimulus, which we build into it by the judicious blending of various musical factors. Each of these colored lines represent one of those factors. Now, because these can be blended, we can create the degree of stimulation in each tune, and we aim to program on what we call the ascending curve. It's a mood progression from low to high. Now, I'll give you an illustration on this first tune. If you were listening to music, say, at 70 beats per minute, it would do nothing for you. That's your pulse rate. It isn't soothing, it isn't stimulating. It does nothing for you. It's just there. Now, if you're listening to music that has a minus value, as we see it, that's a soothing effect, so that when you get into your severe rock tunes, they would be extremely stimulating because there's an awful lot of beat to it. So what we start with is, in this particular illustration, is the 0 level to give you an idea how it works. Actually, we never reach the 0 level with any of our programming. We never come down below about 1.5. Because we're not interested in soothing people or in putting them to sleep.
10 cents off. Keplinger's Health Bread, 10 cents off. Keplinger's Health Bread.
I thought that was charming.
Well,
On every town in these United States, there's a little lady in the basement that writes tunes. You know, everybody is a composer. And the tune is only 10% of the game. The production of it is the trick, how you put it together. You know, the kind of talent that you use, the kind of orchestra you use. And that's really the whole crux of this particular business. The pop music field today, really not just this business, but popular music is a producer's medium. There's always a producer that puts everything together. It's, I think the old days of the performer, you know, doing his number and somebody discovering him, and all, you know, it's very romantic, but it's...
Anyone who is outside pop and who tries to dismiss it all just doesn't know what they're talking about. If you write anything, whether it's music or words, it's obviously going to be a reflection of what you feel and what you see. I was born in Glasgow, a city with, among other things, some of the most modern housing in the world. I could never really afford to get on a bus or a train and get out of Glasgow. All I had was my bike. Every weekend I used to cycle as far out into the country as I could go, just to be amongst the hills and the waterfalls and the lochs. So when I saw this island for sale in the newspapers, it seemed like a crazy dream come true. It was all the things I sort of instinctively wanted when I was a kid, and now I could afford to buy them. The first day I went there, the feeling I got was completely magical. It was a feeling of being at home at last. It was only about 3/4 of a mile long and a half a mile wide. I had some sheep, a few cows, and a lighthouse. No telephones, no smoky chimneys, no motorways, just a great feeling of peace. No one can ever say to me, do this or do that, because I can afford to say to them, no, I won't. Pop music has given me that sort of freedom.
I feel inside it's time for me to go away. Fortunately, baby, I know where the luck to go home.
There are probably 10 groups worldwide that in a good year can take $5 million out of the United States. I'm sure Elton John has been doing $5 million a year consistently. Jethro Tull every year. Of course, the Rolling Stones every year. That's a fantastic amount of money. I mean, $5 million is a gross for 2 months' work, say 45 shows. If that was 10 groups, that's $50 million a year. Now, for every one of those groups, there's probably 2 or 3 dozen that are doing a couple of million. And for every one of those, there's 100 that aren't, that are doing less, but nevertheless 100 of them doing it. Now, I haven't been able to figure it out exactly, but I would imagine that in live shows, it's in excess of 200 million a year, just in live performance, in the United States alone.
So very long ago, people prepping for Sinatra and Perry Como. They didn't know about the rhythm of the blues, B.B. King, Big Mama, and the paying of the dues. Now it seems everybody's found it's the music makes the world go round. Come on, you got to come on and get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. You got to come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart.
It used to be when you listen to the radio, you hear the Tennessee waltz and thought you don't know. How you supposed to know how to pat your feet if the music hasn't got that rock and roll beat? Now it seems everybody's found it's the music makes the world go round. Come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. Come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart.
90-minute high that he has every night he plays, and that if he didn't have that 90-minute high, he wouldn't, he wouldn't have, that's his life.
Yeah, well,
is that 90-minute high. It's like, to me, it's like, that's an addiction when it gets that bad, when you just got to get up, you've got to have, have that in order to feel like somebody. Because that's how it strikes me, is that, you can get caught up in the feedback, the gratification of the immediacy of an audience. And if that's the only thing that defines you for yourself, it's something's out of hand to me. I mean, I can't identify with it. I can understand it, but I never needed that. That's not how I define myself.
Come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. Come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. Come on, come on. From Bessie to Billy to Bibi to Baz, there's a lot more power than the Wizard of Oz.
I mean, a lot of people would say it's the most glamorous, the most exciting, the greatest kind of lifestyle there is. I don't happen to agree with that. Because of the pressures on you. My God, I mean, when I finally made the decision I can't do it, was when we were offered this. I've forgotten what it was, so,
I remember. I've forgotten about that.
$200,000 or something if you play a certain number of dates through the year, which would have meant traveling all the time and playing almost every weekend, like 2 or 3 or 4 days a week. And I just had reached the point then where I just said, no, I can't do that. I want to have my space, my time, my family, and so I dropped out.
Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. You got to come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. You got to come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. You got to come on, get up and do your part. Everybody's a rock and roller at heart. You got to come on, 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 do your part. You got to come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Now, when Jesus was here, he said, look and see what they were doing in Noah's day. And in Noah's day, they were living the same kind of lives that people are living today. People were living in sex without marriage. People were dancing and carousing. They were overindulging in their eating. And all of this filth that was going on, Jesus said, study that day, as it's recorded in Genesis 6 and 7, and then you will know what it'll be like when the Son of Man cometh. Well, we believe that we're living in a day today that parallels Noah's day, and all of this rock culture is just stirring people to evil instead of to good, just as the people were doing in Noah's day.
music grew up through the 60s, and there was lots of tremendous, tremendous music that won't be bettered, that'll stand up for a long, long time. And also, I think the nicest thing that's happened, I think, over the years, is that there are so many people who want to be musicians. There are so many young guys with guitars who want to play. And it isn't really seen for what it is. It means that masses of people want to be creative. It was never seen like that in the 60s. All these guys who want to play guitars, all these guys who want to be rock stars and wear this kind of outfit or that kind of hairstyle are involved really in culture. And they're involved in music. And you know, I think it's tremendous that there are so many people who want to play, who want to be involved, who take it seriously. I think it's really good. I don't think it should ever be taken too seriously, mind you. I don't want to be too an intellectual about it, but it's nice that people play. And I don't use culture either in the sense that it's such a big, important, significant word. But it is culture, the fact that even if it's street culture, whatever, you know, people are interested in music.
Who touches a feeling like wind on a tower of a castle high on a mountain? To see is to imagine an artist's impression of the world so perfectly kind. To know what is real, that everyone must feel. The truth shall the tear, not a mind. To have what you got, 'cause it's always been there. It's like falling without feeling pain. It's easy to laugh, but so hard to cry. It's easy to dream, but so hard to die. Easy to turn, just turn your head. You cannot live in a dream. Touches of music like wind on a tower of a castle high on a mountain. To see is to imagine an artist's impression of the world so perfectly kind. So
In the time of the bland out. This is perhaps the most bland time in the history of Western civilization. Now, the difference between this and 1967 is stupefying. You know, a time back then when everything seemed to be opening up, you know, like young people were doing all these things and there was this music, it was glorious, you know. I mean, I was in college at the time. I know that the way I got into all this was that it seemed much more interesting to write about the Byrds and what they were doing than about Faulkner or Fitzgerald or something like that, you know. And So it was easy to be grandiose in your ideas. It was easy to get carried away because everybody was being carried on a tide that seemed to be taking us all towards this incredible future, which of course has ended up in this complete dunce out, but that's the way it goes.
I think the story of Mike Oldfield is probably one of the most extraordinary sagas in all of rock music. I first met him when he was about 16. At the time, I was running a discount mail order record shop, and Mike was trying to get some interest in a tape of some music he'd put together. I knew him only as a top-class guitarist who'd been on the road with musicians like Kevin Ayers, but apparently he'd been trying to persuade someone to believe in his musical ideas for years. We were all a bit broke at Virgin at that time, but we offered him the use of our sound studio, which was and is in a rather grand house near Oxford called the Manor, and disappeared to work on his tapes. 12 months later, we took the tapes to Midem, which is a terrible big international music sales conference in the south of France, in the hope of getting things off the ground. Fairly predictably, we could get no interest. One record company said it was a load of self-indulgent rubbish, and they definitely wouldn't be interested. Another record company said that if they slapped a few vocals on it, they'd give us $20,000. And we said that we weren't that desperate. And in any case, we came back to England having got no interest from outside England at all.
Anything I can do is muck up your sound.
Eventually, we decided there was nothing for it but to release the record ourselves, which we did, giving it the number B2001. And then we thought that to launch the record, we would organise a concert of the music. But there was just one problem. On the record, there are some 40 to 50 instruments. Mike had played nearly all of these himself. The concert was a huge success, and the music, Tubular Bells, with almost no promotion, began to sell faster than we could make copies of it. In fact, the sales were staggering. In England, it went straight into the charts, where it's been ever since. During the first 6 months alone,
I don't know, his album sold about, it will have sold about 5 million albums by the end of the year, worldwide. And in England alone, a million albums.
we, of course, were delighted and immediately began to think of ways of promoting the record in America, Australia, or wherever. But again, there was just one problem. Mike had disappeared. As a result of the concert, he'd had something of a breakdown and had vanished to his parents' house, apparently to build a duck pond. So we were faced with the nightmare of a #1 artist who would not be interviewed, who would not play in public, would not travel, who just wanted to sit at home and compose. I've no idea where he gets his musical ideas from, although he learned a lot from a composer he met with Kevin Ayers, called David Bedford, who gave him records of Delius and Vaughan Williams. All his music is constructed with infinite care. He records each tiny segment himself on a multi-track tape recorder. On Tubular Bells, for instance, he overdubbed, that is, re-recorded, some 10,000 little sections. And on Omadorn, his third piece, he overdubbed so many times that he completely wore out the tape, as well as himself, and had to start again. The mixer that he's now got, and in which he's recorded the music for his new space movie, has given him slightly greater freedom.
You start with a raw sound, straight into the mixer, equalise that, maybe so it's a lot brighter. Some repeat echo on it. Just one repeat. Speed that one up. And alter the volume of the repeat. So the volume of the repeat's louder than the first note.
Mike writes out a score, or normally writes out a score, just like any other composer. And then, having recorded the different elements of his music, he just mixes them all together. One piece, which maybe lasts for 40 to 45 minutes, can take him as long as a year.
Sounds like a very hoarse little animal, a sore throat. Tremolo guitar, there's organ tune, there's a bass, synthesizer bass guitar going boom, 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 boom. And there's a gong blast there, gong, sleigh bells and bell tree. Mandolin starts here, but it got rubbed off.
He works more or less entirely on his own, in isolation and in peace.
Next thing that happens, all this lot starts, timpani, loads of synthesizers, a rattle, claves, 3 electric guitars, synthesizers, 6 of them all going at different times. There's that bit. It should be a rattle. I think that got rubbed off too.
And yet he has managed to achieve great success in a medium which everyone seems still to think depends on things like oversell and packaging and product and promotion. Much of it does, of course. Most of popular music is like that. The medium really is the message.
Could be a gong here and Bosch. No, it's not there either.
But fortunately, there are a few exceptions. There are musicians working today in the rock medium who have chosen pop or rock or whatever you want to call it as the best language, the language that speaks to the most people to say what they want to say.
Sustain guitar is a double speed guitar, recorded half speed so that when it's speeded up it's really very...
And these are doing so without compromising their musical standards, without getting involved in all those things which everyone expects as so-called pop stars. With Mike, for instance,
he very rarely rings up and, says, how's sales going? In fact, I've never known him ring me up and ask me how sales are going, or, he's never interested in reviews or features or anything about himself. I think that, there are some musicians like Elton John who are into it in a business way, and into projecting, a whole image, which Mike happens not to be. He's also, like myself, he's not particularly articulate speaker, and he knows what he's good at, and he knows what he's not good at, and he feels that, he hasn't got a lot to say verbally. He feels he has got a lot to say musically.
That's the first one. And the other one is...
Their music may not be, as yet, that sophisticated, but it's an important beginning. Anyway, I believe that a composer such as Mike Oldfield is among the best hopes we have for contemporary popular music.
That's the second one. They both fit together beautifully.
What about it didn't you like?
What, the pop business?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit silly, isn't it? I think it is. Don't really get involved in it.
What sort of things?
What sort of things are silly? Well, I can't pretend at all. unless I'm very drunk, and I don't pretend. Just make an exhibition of myself. I suppose most of it is making an exhibition of yourself, isn't it? I'd rather just do it here.
I think these young men have done more to harm our youth than any young people that have come around during the last generation or during the last several generations, because people have followed their lifestyle, the way they dress, the way they look, which has made a sloppy, dirty-looking generation, and I think we're beginning to move out of that.
All You Need Is Love will not be seen next week. Please join us 2 weeks from tonight at 9 for another fascinating look at the world of popular music.